Sure, I'm recording on my computer. Record on this computer. And we are live in 3, 2. All right, welcome back to the Male Entrepreneur Podcast, the podcast for men who win, with your host, Purdeep Sangha. Purdeep, how you doing today, man?
Hey, Nathan, I'm doing pretty awesome. It's an awesome day. It's bright and sunny outside. Can't wait to get off this podcast and actually go out and enjoy the sun. I actually went out for a walk this morning. It's actually quite nice.
It is. It's beautiful out there right now where I'm at as well. And we have a returning guest who I'm super excited about, because the last time we had this guy on, the conversation went into some areas that I'm pumped about. I think you're a little bit more skeptical than I am, but I can't wait to see where we go with this episode.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I think we got a lot of listeners excited last time, including you, Nathan. It's not that I'm not as pumped. I would just say I kind of feel like I was burned a little bit, because when you miss that opportunity to invest in one of the biggest cryptos, you kind of say, damn, it's like stubbing your toe over and over again when you keep seeing these highs. But I'm super excited to have a friend back on. Shailesh Godse is here with us. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, so this is awesome. Thank you. I think we got a lot of people interested in the topic, Shailesh, in terms of crypto. It's hot right now. Everywhere I'm looking, it's like crypto, crypto, crypto. I'm even seeing some real big influencers, credible people in certain industries saying diversify, be safe, and invest in crypto. So maybe you can help with that. If you could break that down, what that would mean, because they're saying, maybe from what I got, it seems like maybe the traditional banking system or government owned system when it comes to currency may not be as safe with everything that's happening with COVID and stuff. But I want to throw it over to you. What do you
Sure.
think is happening with crypto right now?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great market to be in crypto. I think before it was more at that early stage, and now it's starting to become a lot more mainstream. So with crypto, you're now starting to see everyone invest. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but individuals and even companies invest in cryptocurrency. So, for example, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, he invests 3% of his portfolio. Elon Musk, who released his results from Tesla, has made a profit of 121 million. Even professional athletes, such as the in the NBA and the NFL players, are now asking to get paid in crypto. And even
Really?
The Warriors have identified that they will start paying in cryptocurrency. So I think it's starting to become a lot more mainstream as individuals start to take a look at it. And we've seen even the mutual fund companies, CI Investments, which does have a fund that invests particularly in crypto. They were able to raise 100 million. Purpose Investments also has similar type of investment. So, as we start to see more of this demand with cryptocurrencies, I think it's going to be more mainstream. And today I saw a report from The Economist, and it was all about digital currencies that many of the countries are looking to do. So I know China announced a digital yuan, and then Australia is looking at something very similar. So we're starting to see even governments take a look at the cryptocurrency and have that as a quiver in their staple with respect to cryptocurrency.
So I got to ask that. So right now, crypto for me, the way I see it is there's a lot of people using it as a form of investment. And I could be wrong because I haven't done a lot of research on it lately versus actually a currency. But I see it transferring over to a currency more and more now. When do you think we'll see, is it going to remain? Because it's hard, will it become just like the dollar where it's traded and it's currency?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And that's really what the digital yuan with China, they're trying to initiate, because they want to peg themselves off the US dollar, which is worldwide staple currency that people invest in. And as we start to see many of these countries look at alternatives, then they'll start to, peg themselves off the US dollar. And which is going to be interesting because it eliminates a lot of things with respect to currency exchange. And we've seen the Canadian dollar today take a lift, and it's not because the demand for our goods that we have, natural resources. That's really what's driving the demand for the Canadian dollar today. And so it could be the fact that maybe one day Canada has also their currency, which they can trade on the exchange. And interesting enough, I've been talking to some various countries in the Caribbean, and because they're pegged to the US dollar, what they're looking to do is find out alternative currencies as well, so that at least they can trade when it comes down to foreign exchange trading. Because in some cases, they're very limited in terms of what they can do. And so, yeah, it's starting to change or affect how trading is done, and also with respect to digital currencies and cryptocurrencies worldwide.
Interesting. So, and there's been talks again. I've just kind of shut down news altogether, almost. Like I get some blurbs here and there, but this talk I've heard, and again, I don't know how accurate this rumor is, that Biden is looking at or promoting a global currency. Is that what you've heard too? And what is behind that? And what's the purpose of that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think Janet Yellen, who's part of his Treasury Department, is really selling that idea of a global currency. And the notion behind that is, of course, with the U.S., they're going to raise interest rates and taxes as well. Sorry, I shouldn't say interest rates, raise taxes in the U.S. And what that's going to affect is corporations or companies are going to identify areas where there's a low tax bracket. And I'll give you an example. There's a big tech company. I'm not going to name the names, but it's huge globally, worldwide. And what they do is they collect their tax revenues for the U.S. in the U.S., but globally, their head office operations are in Ireland, where it's a low tax environment corporately. So what they're trying to do with the G20 is to say, well, listen, if we all raise taxes because of this global pandemic, they have to raise revenue. How do we sustain that so that corporations stay within our existing countries? And so they want to have that global currency, so to speak, so that no one corporately moves from, let's just say, the US to another European nation, or even in a tax haven nation as well. So that's the mandate behind, or the objective behind that global currency.
That's interesting. So, Nathan, jump in anytime if you have a question. I'm going to ask one more here is, so what is the incentive for a country like Ireland to say, yeah, we'll do it? Because I'm assuming they're cashing in, and I don't know what the arrangements are, but if we take a look at Ireland, Caribbean, other places, there's a few of those safe havens. What's incentive for them to actually do anything?
Yeah, no, great question. I think a lot of it has to do with trade with some of these large players as well. So if the G20 countries are mandating or trying to initiate this objective, the G20 represent globally the largest proponent of trade activity. So if you're a small country like Ireland or even the Caribbean nations, you want to make sure that you're part of that as well, because that's going to help you globally in terms of your trade with some of these G20 nations.
So they'll kind of strong arm people to get into this. Okay, that's interesting.
Absolutely.
So Nathan, I'm going to throw it over to you if you have any questions.
Yeah, so from my point of view, I see two divergent paths when it comes to cryptocurrency and global currencies and all of that. As a business owner, I do business internationally, and I hate if I'm doing business in Europe, I have to worry about these laws, and I hate if I'm doing business in Canada, I've got to worry about these laws, and I've got to worry about these taxes, and do I pay the VAT tax or do I not pay the VAT tax? I hate the fact that there's all these different jurisdictions and all these different legal loopholes that I have to jump through. So on that end, I'm pretty much pro globalism, but on the other end, I like the fact that if the US gets too tyrannical for me, there might be another place that I can live. Or if I value free healthcare more than I value freedom of choice over my healthcare, then I can move to another country. So, or if in America, we have some states where marijuana is legal and some states where it's not. And depending on, or some states where firearms are legal and some states where there's more restrictions. So if I want to move to somewhere where I have the right to live with what fits me more than what might fit other people, I like having different jurisdictions. So I'm kind of torn on the whole thing. Global currency, I'm a little bit worried about trusting one organization to run the finances of the entire globe. I don't think that we're at the point where we have human beings smart enough and uncorruptible enough to do that. When it comes to crypto, though, one of the things that I have in the back of my mind is the fact that a lot of transactions, I've been using Bitcoin since 2011, 2012. I've been taking them for payment and using them as a currency. I buy stuff with Bitcoin. I purchase things. There's other ones out there. There's Ethereum, which is the one that I'm probably most excited about. But the thing that is going on in the back of my mind is how much longer since we're talking about it, how much longer can payments be tracked and traced and taxed? And what's going to happen to the political superpowers? Because right now, the only difference really, in my opinion, between crypto and regular currencies is the fact that the government uses force to make us accept. There's nothing backing the dollar. There's nothing backing other than government, the threat of government violence. For crypto, it's kind of like a faith thing, like do we have faith in this? I guess the thing that's in my head is when this becomes widely adopted, which it seems like it's on that path, how is this going to impact geopolitics? How is this going to impact taxation, impact borders? All of those things we're going to have to rethink how all of these things work. And for me, I'm kind of excited about it. I know it's kind of a scary thing, but it's also maybe we'll see a brand new world come out of this. I don't know. Shailesh, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Nathan. There's a lot of variables that come into play with developing either the cryptocurrency or even a digital currency globally, as well as you mentioned. And part of that would be just, regulators are just scrambling to understand the what if scenarios as well, right? And as they develop it and as they become more comfortable, they're starting to answer some of those questions. But you're absolutely right. There's a lot of what if scenarios, and traditionally, the system going through the banks or global intermediaries is working, right? But is there a faster way and a more efficient way of doing things? And you're absolutely right. Are things changing because now more and more people are utilizing more digital or online banking versus going to their banks to do some of these transactions? Because I know a couple of times I had to go into the bank, but I had to wait in line like outside the bank branches and actually had to go and book an appointment. And it was just more, it was more time consuming from my perspective. I'd rather just have the capabilities of doing it myself and the transactions done, right? And that's just more convenience. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's a lot of variables that are unknown, not only from the government, from the regulators, from individuals as well. And until we get a lot more comfortable in utilizing it, then I think we'll start to see more of that adoption. And it goes back to when banks were using telephone banking or even ATMs, there was that adjustment for people to get used to not going into the branches and then using telephone banking and using the ATMs. But eventually they adopted it, right? So, we might see the same thing happen with cryptocurrencies and digital currencies as well, is that there's going to be that period where people have to get comfortable using it. And, people being feeling safer being at home as well and doing some of those online transactions via the computer versus going directly into the branch to do some of those. But you're
Yeah,
absolutely
there's a lot in there. I think there's so much unknown at this point, but I think obviously we're moving in this direction and the progress is going. It seems like it's going at a faster and faster pace now that the government's actually entertaining it, because before they weren't even entertaining crypto. They were entertaining digital currencies, but for them, crypto wasn't something that was viable. But I think just like the one thing I always consider is, because I take a look at both sides, is everything that we do at some point in time needs some governing, because there's always people trying to look for loopholes. There's always people trying to look to scam other people. And unfortunately, that's just the way society is. So as much as we hate government and we say government sucks, they put so many limitations on us, they actually help us in a lot of ways. For example, if we take a look at our healthcare system, especially here in Canada, they're very stringent in terms of what comes out into the market. You can't just have a pill that comes out and magically says, "Hey, look, this will give you this." It has to be tested. It has to be proven over years of research and clinical trials, for example. The other one is, look what they forced here, and I think they might have done that in the US too, is any chain over, I believe, is 5 or 10 locations, they forced them to put the calories on their menu board, basically. So if you're going to buy a burger, you need to know that that burger is going to give you 1,500 calories, which is like half your daily intake, because consumers weren't just aware. We have these product, basically, ingredients to make consumers aware that, hey, look, you're going to eat bacon and it's actually potentially got some toxic chemicals in there that will cause cancer. So I think we have to play both sides, because some point, I'm totally agree. I think we need digital currency. I think we'll need crypto. I think there's no need for cash anymore. Banks, checks, like all this kind of stuff. There's just, and my background's in lean operations. So I like to streamline everything. And so a lot of this is inconvenience. There's money we're paying for having currency that just doesn't make sense, but we need a governing body. Do you have an idea of what that governing body could be? Would it be like a global governing body? Would it be like a government? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it would be a governing body that would be global, because with respect to trade and exchanging currencies globally, you need that mandate. So it would have to be a coordinated effort with many of the countries, and that's why the U.S. through Janet Yellen is proposing and leading that discussion. Whether they take the lead on it with the approval from the other G20 countries, that's yet to be seen. But I completely agree with you. It would have to be some sort of governing body like NATO, which acts in the best interests of global operations when it comes down to currency as well.
Hopefully.
But yeah. But it's interesting that you mentioned calories and things of that nature, because I wholeheartedly, my wife, she's in the food sciences area. And it's interesting to see how more and more people are becoming more familiar with the calorie counts and things of that nature. And my son, who just graduated or did the first year in Laurier, he did a project on that one where you can actually scan food items and place them into your fridge, and then it would do calorie counts and when things need to be replenished, the end date or when the expiry date is going to happen.
That's cool.
So it's interesting how you talked about that, because absolutely, I see that technology evolving in the food sciences industry area as well, and other applicable areas, as you mentioned, you like to dabble in the lean aspect when it comes down to process and engineering of various industries. So yeah, that's great.
In the last episode, Nathan and I were talking about AI. So I think AI, that'd be cool to have an AI fridge. Hey, look,
Yeah.
your milk is going bad here, buddy. Start drinking it.
Yeah, I read that recently, where in Europe they're providing these community fridges for people who just are affected by COVID, and they're placed strategically in certain pockets where poverty is known or rampant, and people can refill them There's an app that identifies, similarly expiry date, what needs to be replenished, so that people can look at the app, and if they want to donate food items to that community fridge, they can do that. So absolutely,
Awesome.
it's the technology is evolving, and I'm sure it's going to become more mainstream with respect to COVID.
Shailesh, if people want to get a hold of you and continue this discussion, maybe on a one-on-one process, how would that best be accomplished?
Yeah, so I'll give you my email address, which is first name, which is Shailesh, Shailesh, and then Godse, Godse, and the number 1 or digit 1 at gmail.com, or my smartphone at 905-516-4012.
Oh, you're a brave man.
So this is awesome. I think we'll have you back on at some point, because I think what everybody's wondering is, what is the crypto strategy? So I think we'll do another episode and have you back on to talk about, how people can actually make money now off crypto.
Sure. Love to do that. Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. And Purdeep, if people want to check out more episodes or make sure that they're subscribed so they don't miss that future episode, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, check out youtube.com or mailpodcast.com.
YouTube for Men.
Oh, YouTube for Men. You're absolutely right.
All right.
I cut it short there.
We're just going to send people to youtube.com.
We want credit for this. YouTubeformen.com.
All right, man. Until next time, we will catch you later.
Till next time.